And that brings me to my closing segment. Free agency. As we close out April 1976, there's one thing hanging over the entire football world heading into May: free agency. Now, let's be clear here. What arrived on May 1st is not what fans think today when they hear that term. This isn't the 1993 unrestricted free agency. This is where stars jump overnight. It's not even the NFL's Plan B, which happens in the 1980s. What we're seeing here is the very first crack in the wall, and honestly, I think it's needed. Now, I was never on Joe Cap's side completely. I understood why owners pushed back against what he wanted. Football teams aren't just collecting of random players. He walked away from his contract, and the jury sided with the NFL. Franchises need stability. Fans build connections to players and teams over years. The idea of total unrestricted movement in the 70s probably would have created chaos. But at the same time, players deserve something. Before the owners basically held all the power, a player could finish his contract and still not truly be free. In other professions, that sounds crazy, and eventually players were going to challenge it. So what arrives in May 1976 feels almost cautious, limited, controlled. 20-something players entering a market that teams are still afraid to even use. But it matters because the first time the idea exists. John Riggins can listen to offers. John Gilliam will leave Minnesota for Atlanta. Players suddenly have at least a little leverage. And once leverage enters sports, everything changes. That's why I find this moment fascinating. Not because 1976 free agency was huge. Honestly, by modern standards, it's tiny. But history doesn't always announce itself with fireworks, and sometimes it starts quieter in the newspaper. And 50 years later, we can look back and realize this was the beginning of modern NFL business era.